Foam, a cool side of the pillow spin-off show where Vince and Josh recount their wildest, silliest, and most out there dreams, and then talk a bunch of nonsense until they tire themselves out.
All right, all you dreamers out there, this is Memory Foam, a cool side of the pillow spin-off show, episode number 2. What's up, Vince? You got a dream for us today?
Dropping a dirty deuce on him. I do.
Oh,
so it's
shitty thing to do.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm your number 2. So anyway, who does number 2 work for? What other references can we possibly come up with? We should, I was thinking we should have a contest where like listeners can like jot down all the references we make, and whoever's right can like win a prize or bragging rights or whatever. Or it could be like a fun drinking game where like every time someone says the F word, you take a little sip of alcohol.
Yeah, I like it. Try it out. See who can be the best.
Yeah, man.
Your dream was.
So I've been having this recurring dream. So like I'll wake up in the morning and all of a sudden I'll see Sleepwalker. An old like Marvel villain turned, eventually became superhero. Very underrated, really cool. Basically, this dude would fall asleep, and that's when Sleepwalker would emerge. And it was like this whole other entity that kind of lived within this guy, which was neat. Anyway, wake up and Sleepwalker's there chilling out. Hey, bud, how are you? And, fluffing my pillow, making the bed so I don't have to. I'm like, thanks, bud. I appreciate that. Start making some eggs, and, Captain America's in there. He's got his shield upside down, making some scramby eggs. Hey, bud, you want some scramby eggs? I sure do, Cap. Thank you. Going to the bathroom, like, ooh, I got to drop a Duke. And Green Goblin's there. And he's like, I'm going to nibble all your turds. No, just kidding. But he does say that. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to grab a little quick shower here. I get in there, and Thor's like, here, let me help you. And, he's like washing me with like this hammer, but the hammer head is like made of soap, and it's good. He exfoliates me, and it's nice. And I get out, I'm brushing my teeth, and Wolverine is like, kind of edging up my my beard, making sure it's looking tight, whatever. And Deadpool packs my lunch and smacks me on the butt, and I'm off to work. And eventually I'm driving around, and I just see like, the Hulk, he's like running alongside my vehicle, and I'll see like Guardians of the Galaxy in like a little van next to me, and looks like they're about to go to the fair, and little baby Groot's very excited about it and waves to me, and then I just wake up after it's always after baby Groot waves to me. And it's pleasant, but it's also kind of disturbing because it's like I feel like I have no privacy, and there's these beings that have like these crazy powers that like if I was to offend them or say, hey, Cap, I don't want eggs this morning, he'd be like, hiya, karate chop to the throat. Or Wolverine would be like, oh, instead of edging up your beard, I'm just going to slice you off. Or like Green Goblin, instead of like nibbling my turds, he's going to actually like bite my butt and hurt me. So I want to be nice to all of them, especially Thor, who's like washing my back. I don't want to upset him and then get smashed with Thor's hammer because I offended him. And I was like, you missed a spot. So it just feels like I don't have a whole lot of privacy, but also it's magnified because these people, if I was to tell them, hey, I need some space, there's no telling what they can do to me. They're very powerful.
Yeah, it sounds like also like personal boundaries in general, right? You don't want to let these people down for they're trying to be helpful, but you're also like, I want my privacy. So you're like, you're dealing with the personal space and you people pleaser in general, from what I know of you. So you're like, I don't really need you in the shower with your Warhammer loofah, but if you're good, I guess you can get my back. Nobody ever says Avengers assemble to help Vince.
I'm always like, thank you for washing me. I enjoy this scent, this Vince scent. All right, I'll see myself out. You do the rest of this by yourself. I'm gone.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's that, just simply put, the boundary between personal and pleasing, and and it's all things you love too, right? You love all these characters. They're all people you want around.
I love to poop. Oh, you mean the characters? Yes, but I do like to shower and poop and eat scramby eggs. Those are all things I enjoy.
Although you do prefer them over easy.
No, I prefer them scramby because they're easier to make. Oh, but if I'm going out to eat somewhere, over easy for sure, because I don't have to make them.
Yeah, because that was a reference to episode 1, I believe. You said I'd usually just do them scrambled, even though I prefer over easy because they're easier.
That is true.
Scrambled.
You listen to our show? Wow.
Well, I got Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes.
Definitely, yeah. I listened to the Cool Side of the Pillow for Dummies. I picked that book up, and it's mostly
Are
pictures.
those still around? The dummy stuff.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, they've done it for like everything. It's incredible.
We should do Cliff Clavin notes for Cheers.
Mm-hmm. I think we should.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you
Doesn't
could
really
also get
sound
a
like
lot
the
of.
norm.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, another one for that, Sammy. I think too.
It's giving me a Woody Harrelson. Sorry.
Nice.
All right.
No, how many can you do? I almost want you to keep going to see how many you can pull off.
I want to Diane on my own sword. Okay, I'm done with. Coach me.
I'm gonna have to
Remember
pick
Coach
you up
was
with
the
my
bartender?
Dr. Crane.
Yes.
So I also wonder about the fatigue aspect of
Mhm.
Marvel in general. Do you think there might even just be maybe it's not even a personal like upset, like you have personal boundary issues or something, or like people are kind of crowding you in, expecting too much from you, or trying to be helpful, but they're not being helpful, even though they are being helpful, but you just are like, oh, really would be helpful if you just give me some space, right? So maybe though, it's something simple and lighter of like the Marvel fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just superhero movie fatigue in general.
Oh, sure.
I think
Superhero
with a
fatigue.
lot of things, because I'm an intense fan of things I like and shows and music and stuff. Oftentimes, those kind of take a priority and like, oh, I gotta watch the latest episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which both were very good, by the way, depending on when people might listen to this. But anyway, just as an example, but I prioritize books and music and whatever else, and it almost becomes like a chore, and it's almost becomes like an expectation that's put on you. So not only in your normal life do you have like people that you need to, I don't want to say appease, but you need to do your share and you need to work for and whatever else. But I feel like a lot of times I do the same thing with prioritizing and giving attention to the, my fandoms and whatever, if you will.
Sure.
And I feel like, yeah, some of it I think does coincide with like superhero movie fatigue, Marvel fatigue. Not to bash Marvel, but they're the ones who crank out the most. They do the most cranking when it comes to movies. But they aren't dirty movies, you sillies. That would be bad if, like Wolverine would be a bloody mess. Anyway, he heals fast, so he'd be fine. But I guess I got derailed there. That's bad. But I guess like, with me personally, you got to take the good and the bad. I feel like this. I love superhero. I love comics. I love superhero. I love superhero movies, comics, all that stuff. But I'm not a big superhero movie fan anymore because there's just so many and you feel like you're missing stuff.
Well, the
like I
shows
used
too.
to, yeah, the shows, everything. It almost feels like back when I did collect comics, now I just get like graphic novels and stuff. But when I did collect actual comics, it'd be like you'd be reading Wolverine issue number 30, and it would be like, oh, I found the mystical crystal. And it's like, for more information on this crystal, read, Captain America Annual 3, read Spider-Man's
Right.
Web 5 through 7, and Green Goblin number 4. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that though.
But then
I
sometimes you weren't even rewarded. It would just be a random like, oh, look at he just peeked his head at. It wasn't even like, it's not even like a full, it was like a quick cameo. It wasn't even worth the effort of going to the store to buy it. Like,
But don't you feel so
Or watching
proud when
2
you know all
hours.
the little Easter eggs and all the little
of
things?
course,
Like you're like,
you're
oh,
a real fan. You're a real
yeah.
fan.
So then you kind of feel like you're not a real fan when like you're watching with someone and they're like they push their glasses up against the bridge of their nose and you're like, wow, the Tesseract crystal actually made an appearance in Scarlet Witch's bungalow shack season 3 episode 1, and that ties into the 5th Avengers movie, which also, and it's like, no, like not everything has to be self-contained, and I do like stuff that like kind of can be linear and move and be dynamic and change whatever, but it's just tough when like like if I'm watching a particular show, I want to watch that show and I don't want to have to be like, oh, I got to watch this other movie, I got to watch this other whatever thing.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, and I don't like feeling lost. So unfortunately for me, I have to pick and choose which superhero films I might watch, which it's a lot
Right.
less. At first, I was really trying to get into it, but it's like, oh my God, there's like so many Iron Mans and so many Captain Americas and so many Avengers, and then you have all these spin-off things. And like, I mean, personally, I mess with like the Deadpool movies and the Guardians of the Galaxy I heard Thunderbolts or whatever it is called is good as well. And that seems like it might be in its own sort of section of the universe where it might not be so crazy. But, the other thing I don't love with a lot of the Marvel movies is the stakes aren't that high because, oh, we'll just go to an alternate reality and pull this guy from this reality because he died in this one and now he's in ours and it's fine and no one knows the difference. It's just a cop out. It's like, no, there have to be stakes. And it's also kind of why I don't love heroes like Superman, because it's like, well, what can he do? Like, I want someone who's conflicted, someone, and also with these movies, the premises or premise or whatever are so grandiose and crazy. It's like, oh, the world's going to end. Why does every movie have to be the world ending? Can't it just be, hey, this hero has a problem with this villain and there's an interesting dynamic going on and then there's a resolution? Like like the stakes are too high. Also, all the characters are like smart alecks. Everybody's like Spider-Man in every movie. They're all, or Deadpool. They're all, joking and it's like, cool. Are any characters like distinct? And even ones that are distinct, and I'm going to get into a whole thing here. I've always been a huge fan of Deadpool, even since I was a kid when there was the miniseries run. And then when like you had like Daniel Way and Joe Kelly. I love the Daniel Way run because that was the one where it was more like silly and Deadpool like had a voice that talked to him and it like that was awesome. And then you had like Deadpool and Cable is such an integral part of Deadpool's story. And when you had the second Deadpool movie, and I know those were under Sony, they felt a little more distinct than Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'll get to that in a minute. But like with the Cable character, it was like, oh wow, he's a very distinct guy. And I don't know if you've watched the second Deadpool.
I have. It's been a while.
I mean, I know we saw the first one together quite a ways back, but in it, spoiler alert, at the end, Cable's like, oh, I could have gone back to my timeline, but I'm going to stay in this one and hang out.
Yeah.
And then in Deadpool and Wolverine, there's a quick little joke, and I'm sorry, it's sloppy writing to me, where Deadpool's like, oh yeah, there is no Cable because he didn't test well with focus groups. Ha ha ha. No, thank you. You're really going to do that to Cable? He's and I'm a nerd. I'm sorry. He's entwined with Deadpool so much. Like, you could have done so many different things. If he didn't really test well with audiences, which I think it was, or there was, whatever issues there might have been, come up with something a little more creative. Like, actually say something. Just be like, well, we got rid of him just cause, fourth wall, that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, that sucks because, so what happens then? He gave up being with his family in his timeline so he could stay and hang out. Like, if that were real, he would just be hanging out now by himself. And that's no life for my guy Cable to have. So there's stuff like that that's kind of annoying to me. And I hate to say it, I'm not trying to like yuck anyone's yums because like that's the last thing you do. If people enjoy things, awesome. If it means something to you, great, it should. I just call it the kind of marvelization of superhero tropes and things where, everybody's talking trash and joking around and doing whatever, and you don't have certain characters that are very distinct or very true to themselves, and it's almost sterile in a way. Like in the first couple Deadpools, yeah, a lot of people shit talked whatever, but they had like kind of their distinct personalities, whatever else. With Deadpool and Wolverine, all the other heroes and stuff, they're all like very silly and zany and like, yeah, we're here and we're doing whatever. And I don't know, I feel like it's doing a disservice to them. But then again, how do you go into every single person's origin story, and how do you take the time to carve out what each person is like when you only have a couple hours in a movie, when the movie has a certain rating that you can't go too crazy with because you want a mass audience to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not one of those people who is like, oh yeah, it's trash now. It was much better when it was the comic books and whatever else and blah, blah, blah. Because it was, in my opinion. But however, do I want to live in a world where there was never a Deadpool movie or there were never these Marvel movies? No, I think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
For me, even though I don't like love them and they're kind of like watered down to me, I'm glad that they're out there because it gets more people interested. And maybe people are like, man, let me check out Deadpool's original comic book run. Let me read that. Let me collect those. And then you just realize, wow, like there's a real depth of character here. Like it's really cool. It's not just kind of the Marvelization, of whatever. And I get there's reasons why that has to be. So I'm not trying to knock it too hard. For me personally, I feel like if I were to watch all the movies and all the shows and all the spin-off things and blah, 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 that would be my life. I wouldn't watch anything else. And if that's who you are and that's what you like, then by all means do that. I'm not bashing that. Just for me, I feel like variety is the spice of life. I need more variety. I can't just only watch superhero movies all the time.
Yeah.
The new Batman or the latest Batman movie with the dude from Twilight, I forget his name. I immediately didn't want to like it because, Twilight, it's for, teenage girls, which it's not. But, there's a part of my brain that was saying that. I'm like, I don't want to. Pattinson, I think, Robert Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
He was amazing as both Bruce Wayne and Batman. Incredible. I ate my words. The movie was great. It was like a thriller. It was awesome. Yes, it was a superhero movie, and there was still some humor and stuff to add some levity, but it wasn't.
I had a couple issues with it.
That's fair. And I'd love to hear what your issues were with it. But overall, I thought it was a very good movie. I know it was a little long in the tooth, but I have like a ton of Batman graphic novels and collections and stuff. So for me, being able to see stuff play out like it did in the comics and ringing true, I liked it. Mm-hmm. But I understand that a lot of people are like, this is dragging on a bit. It's a little long.
So those are my issue. I loved it actually, and so I don't want to mislead, but the runtime could have been edited. And I'm not Mr. like, it was too long, but it was. You gotta edit. You gotta edit. I'm sorry, do your job, edit a bit. And as we're rambling on, right? But
yeah,
I'm not getting paid anything for this, right? This is our fun, right?
And you edit, and this is a thing, and I gotta give you your flowers. You edit our episodes and do a lot of work on them. That's always much appreciated by me. But yeah, again, it goes back to like sometimes some of this stuff, it just seems like it's like sloppy writing, or you didn't edit enough, or you weren't concise enough.
You guys segued perfectly. There was the thing, like when he's in the Riddler's apartment, if I remember correctly, I saw it once, and I thought like the mood and everything, the cinematography, the acting, I thought all that was really good. Story I actually really liked. Runtime could have been edited down, but the other thing was I felt like I love that they did more exposition and thought on the detective work of Batman, but I thought it was still kind of sloppy that he would just look and be like, oh, this, and then this connects. Oh, loose floorboard.
Yeah.
It almost seemed it was too easy for him. And it just was, I would have liked to see a little more like
struggle.
I couldn't write it because it's really complex, or just like showing the inner workings of like, it's almost like I think of the old South Park Jeff Goldblum bit from when it's like, cheeseburgers have cheese. Cheese comes from cows. Cows are black and white. Newspapers are. Oh, I need to look at the newspaper.
Or you look yourself into finding something out. You're like, man, I gotta sit down and take an ibuprofen, and you open it up and there's like a letter in there, and you're like, it's from the Riddler. like
yeah,
what?
Right.
If he didn't have the headache, he wouldn't have stumbled upon. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little too like on the nose, but other than that, I really did like that movie. And I also want to say to some of the couple things you said, I think about Marvel. You brought up a great point. It used to be one of Marvel, especially with X-Men, right? What they got popular with, why they
my favorite
when they went ahead, but one of the reasons they went ahead of DC at the time, if I remember correctly, they started doing real life issues. Even in the X-Men, especially, they were taking kind of some teenager stuff, or taking real world issues of issues with the difference between segregation, even some of that stuff, or shutting people out.
Yeah, bigotry, discrimination, all that stuff. Like,
but
that's why I love the X-Men, because it yes, they're fantastical things and heroes and whatever, but it's real life issues. It's like being the other. They're mutants,
right.
So each of them feels like the other, and we've all felt like the other at some point in our lives, and to have that representation and to feel seen by it is a wonderful, beautiful thing. So that's why I feel like even if some of these hero movies can be a bit long in the tooth, or are a bit whatever, or a bit Marvelized, whatever, that's okay, because you can at least glean something from it. Some people are getting something good from it. I just feel like there's too much of it. However, when you have to figure, there's so many factors at play. You want to write something good, right? You want to stay true to the fandom. X-Men 97, by the way, is like one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. So I highly recommend that, because it really stays true to stuff. The art is great. It's wonderful. But when you have pressures from like major like picture studios that are like, okay, we want it to be this rating, we want it to appeal to these people, we've had this focus group, things start to have to change. We have this time constraint, we have to do this, we have to do that. for me, the Batman movie I thought was beautiful because I love shit where it's like, oh, there's 10 episodes, each one's 22 minutes. No, no, no. I like shit where it's like, oh, episode 1 might be an hour and a half, episode 2 might be 20 minutes. You're not just putting in filler, you're actually like creating something and you're letting it go on its own accord. And if you're like, oh, it only made it 3 seasons, we're done telling our story, then that's it. Why stretch things on and why make it, The Office US version where like the last couple seasons you're like, okay, but this could have ended with Michael saying bye bye. So that's all. You're right. It's a wonder anything gets made, and the fact that they get made is wonderful. Yeah. And also, at the cinema and stuff, that stuff's dying. So like superhero movies, that's like the new thing that families go to together, and that's keeping that industry alive. So even if you want to say it's a necessary evil, which I wouldn't say it's an evil at all, but it's great. But like the other thing too that kind of sucks is you have a lot of these actors now who like. It seems like there might be like less and less movies and more superhero movies. Maybe that's just me. And you're like, oh man, a lot of these actors I love are all in superhero movies now. They're not doing normal movies. And that kind of gets annoying too sometimes because it's like, I want to see, someone like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, for instance. Like, great, she's in a superhero movie. I want to see her in another comedy or in something serious or whatever else. Why is it that everyone has to dress in tights and they're a superhero? And my gripes about it are, sometimes the movies can be a little long in the tooth. However, with that Batman, I'm okay with it because for me as a diehard fan, I thought it followed the comic book so well. I'm like, good, I want more of that. I want more. I'm someone who, even if like you have the climax happen and the movie's over, whatever, and there's still stuff going on, I'm like, good, feed me more. I want to learn more about these characters and more about the setup for the next movie. But I get some people are like, can the movie please be done already? It was done. Why isn't it done? Do this at the beginning of the next one. However, it's a labor of love. And if you're a fan and you really like it, you're going to be there for all that stuff. But, sometimes they can be long in the tooth. Sometimes they can be watered down and appeal to the lowest common denominator, which, has to happen. And there's just so many of them. And it seems like in a way they can hurt, your enjoyment of like wanting to see other movies and things. Cause you're like, man, every actor's in these superhero movies now. Nothing is not superhero anymore. So I think there's that fatigue that sets in. And also it's like, I don't want to have to watch a million things and a million spinoffs and whatever else. I mean, speaking of spinoffs, obviously this is a spinoff of our main podcast, but we only have 2 shows. We don't try to make it, it's not like we're doing a comic book miniseries, though that would be awesome. But you know what I mean? Like it's not like we're trying to do too much.
This is a true spinoff though, in the sense of, in my mind, this isn't like, you don't need to listen to both to get, you can
listen to either.
Well, right. So I wanted to say something though to Marvel's, I want to tie it to Marvel's original traction with public and why they went ahead. Right? They went ahead because of real life things. And you said this, you go, why is everything got to be the end of the world? I wonder if they found their way again and they started doing some smaller issues that are still big deal, even if it's small, but like they're just trying to cast such a wide net and they're like, the world's going to end. It's like, maybe you could just deal with this.
Yeah, because that'll grab everyone.
Right.
That's relatable to everybody. Right. And that's why I say lowest common denominator.
Lost their way.
I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be an asshole when I say like lowest common denominator, everybody's stupid. Like that's not what I mean at all.
Most people.
You're trying to appeal to the most people. So like some people, they might be like, oh, I've got this stepbrother who's a real jerk. And if there's a movie about a jerky stepbrother, there's going to be some people who gravitate to that. And some people are like, I don't have a stepbrother, or my stepbrother's lovely.
Yeah. I think the idea of just trying to take a chance and.
Oh yeah. Trying to cast such a net that like everybody can, relate to it. And for me, I like stuff that's like maybe a little more underdog-ish or stuff that like not everybody's into, more slice of life stuff, whatever.
Yes.
But again, not everybody's into that, and I get that. And if you're in an industry where you're trying to make money, obviously, you're going to try to appeal to as many people as you can. But sometimes I feel like that's to the detriment of like a true fan.
Sure.
You can sometimes feel alienated. And I think,
you can't please all the people all the time. That's the,
Yeah.
Isn't it funny though? You just were saying too that the superhero industry is pretty much trying to save the movie industry. Isn't that funny? Superheroes have to save it. I do. Yep. I also think about the completist thing that you talk about, because you feel rewarded when you do watch all the stuff. You do get all the.
Yeah.
Because I also personally hate when it's not. So I grew up with Simpsons as you did, in one of my all-time favorite shows. They did such a beautiful job in the early seasons, and I'm not trying to be like, because I don't watch as much, but they will sometimes take something and they'll hearken it to some weird old movie And then I remember seeing the movie years later. I'm like, oh, that's what The Simpsons did. But you didn't need to know the source material at all. But later on, when you saw it, it just made it a little bit neater to be like, oh, they did almost like a shot for shot or a parody.
Mm-hmm. You're in on it.
Yeah. So sometimes though with the Marvel ones, I feel like they do it too on the nose, or like, oh, you had to see this to understand that. You're like, well, now I got to go watch 6 hours of Madam Web or whatever that I don't know.
Or even then you just feel like I'm not a true head. I'm not a true fan. Like I'm an imposter. And no one wants to be watching. Like most people want to watch something and just enjoy it. They don't want to watch it and feel the stress. Like I'm an imposter.
Homework assignment.
I'm an imposter. It's a homework assignment. I don't know enough or whatever. And that's almost to be a true. It's nice when you're a true fan, but then like sometimes it can be exhausting for other people, and they're just like, so what? I just want to watch the movie. Who cares or whatever.
They're supposed to be fun.
So you could do both.
Calm
You could
down.
do both. But for me, I don't know if it's my
Don't
OCD.
yuck anyone's yum.
Don't yuck anyone's yum. I don't know if
even
it's,
if you're on the outside or in the inside.
I don't know if I'm too OCD or I'm too passionate about the things I like. But once I like something, it's like a labor of love sometimes. It's like I have to listen to every single...
Completist.
I'm just going to throw out... I'm going to name drop a little. Your old Droog, one of my favorite rappers, right? Mm-hmm. Once I started getting into him, I'm like, shit. He's got a lot of stuff in his catalog. I got to listen to all of it. And I do. And I did. And it's amazing. It did take some work, but it was enjoyable. But still, it's one of those things where I think as people, we want to get into something naturally, organically, and not, like you said, all of a sudden be hit with like a homework assignment of, I got to like watch all this other stuff. Or if I like what they did, I got to, and we're in a golden age of entertainment and content where it's just more and more and more and more. It felt like in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, even early 2010s, you had more time to watch things a couple of times, or like there wasn't as much content or as many things. And now you're like, it's just so rapid fire that like, if all of a sudden I was someone who woke up from a coma and I was like, oh, there's all these Marvel movies now. Oh, there's 83 of them and 39 shows and 3 different, spin-off whatevers. And I'm like, well, that's what I love to do. So this is my life now. And it's like, and that's cool if it is, like, because for me, don't yuck someone else's yums. If you're at a buffet and I don't like Brussels sprouts, but someone's like, ooh, Brussels sprouts, I'm not going to be like, you're fucking a weirdo, dude. No, chow down. If you're someone who only eats the Brussels sprouts, that's the only thing you like from the buffet. Okay. You're getting fed. You're doing whatever you want to do. That's fine. I'm going to go to what I like and what I don't like. And I think that's the thing is, I feel like I have such a love and fondness for the comics, right? The Deadpool run. There was a Deadpool and Cable run. Like the X-Men comics, like, all the different incantations and runs that they had. All that stuff is so good, and I loved it. And it was stuff that it's slow media, that you can savor and you can read and you can do whatever and you can talk to people. Now we're told, people will have YouTube channels or Reddit or whatever else, and they'll tell you, hey, these are the things that you missed or blah, 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 which is great. But then also, like I said, sometimes it makes you feel like shit because you're like, I guess I'm not as big a fan as I thought because I didn't recognize that Captain America had a pair of, Nike pumps. And I should have known that. They were in that one scene. just dumb, arbitrary stuff like that where I do that sometimes. I punish myself a little bit. I can't believe I didn't know that about MF Doom or whoever else. Like, oh, I'm the worst fan. I'm not as good a fan as I thought I was, which is a stupid amount of pressure to put on yourself because it's just supposed to be entertainment. But if you love something enough, I feel like if you love something enough, it's a labor of love and you put the work into it and you fall in love with the process of it, whatever it may be, whether it's, I got to read, I got to do whatever. Even take the podcast that we do, we haven't done that many. Well, in fairness, we did a bunch of episodes back in the day.
Yeah.
We kind of revamped our whole thing and we're doing this now.
I'm talking 2011 people.
Yeah.
2012 range.
You were on the cutting edge of like, hey, I got this idea for a podcast. And I'm like, all right, sounds crazy, but I'll do it because you're my bud. And we'll have fun and we'll talk our shit and it'll be recorded and it's whatever. I'm like, I don't even understand what a podcast is fully. But I'm sold. But I guess what my point is like, it's a labor of love. Like our main, and we were talking about this earlier before we started recording, our main show, Cool Side of the Pillow, takes a lot more work than your traditional podcast, a lot more work than this memory foam spinoff that we do because, we have to write some things. We have to see what works. We have to do multiple takes, figure out what sounds great. We have to come up with like, okay, what music sounds good here? Should we do a song? Can we come up with a silly commercial idea? How do we end it? How do we tie it into the next episode? Then it's all the editing that you have to do. Then it's all the promotion stuff that we do on like Instagram and everything else. So I mean, it's a labor of love. We do it because we love to do it. Whereas like, you know, with this one, it's kind of a breath of fresh air, the memory foam, because there's barely any editing. At least I would think it's less than the original.
Far less.
Yeah, and you know, for us, we're not like writing a ton of stuff. It's like right off the cuff, right from the heart.
Much less prep.
And so I think there might be some people who are like, you know, the Cool Side of the Pillow podcast is fun and all, and you guys do your stories and your little bits in between. I like that bit, but not that bit. One of Josh's favorite quotes. But like, like you might listen to the original and be like, oh man, I like the original a lot because there's story going on and there's character development and these guys are zanier when they're doing it. But then some people might be like, nah, I'm more of a podcast purist. I just want to listen to these guys go off the cuff and talk from the heart.
Babble.
You know, yeah. But like this is like we're more talking right from the heart. You know what I mean? We're not like editing and rewriting and doing whatever. So it's really like your personality type and what you prefer. Like what do you prefer to be entertained with? And I guess the biggest thing is people want to feel seen and people want to feel like they belong to something and they want to feel understood or they want to understand. And I think however you can get that in this life, get it. If you like to watch professional wrestling and as many people, you know, might want to poo-poo on that and make fun of it or whatever else, I get it. But if that's a fun escape for you, if that inspires you by like some of the injuries people come off of, their rise to stardom, their move set and how much they advance, the behind the scenes things, whatever it is you love, you should love, and people shouldn't make you feel bad about it. They shouldn't yuck your yums. By no means am I, and I don't mean to speak for you, but you're not doing this at all either. We're not saying, ooh, hero movies, gross, you know, what a chore, what a task, whatever. No, because there's some that we both love and we'll watch, but I think we're a little more selective, maybe. And I don't feel that pressure of, oh no, the new Avengers came out, I better watch it. Oh, the new whatever, the new tie-in show. Like, that's just not so much my world. But I do it to myself with other things. A lot of times with music and whatever. I'll be like, that feature was dope. Let me, okay. Oh, he's part of this group. Well, I got to listen to the group too now. Oh, there's this other guy in the group. Like, and it's a wonderful problem to have sometimes, but also sometimes you're like, it's too much. It's too much content. Sure. And for that, I want to say it's kind of ridiculous that you want to, okay, it's time for me to relax. My job's demanding whatever, you know. Let me relax and let me enjoy some entertainment. Ooh, I better scrutinize it. I better study it. I better be the best I can. It's like, well, hopefully that's giving you energy, enjoyment. But if it's not, then maybe you should stop doing that. Like you're exhausting yourself. Like sometimes you just need to enjoy the pretty pictures and let your mind go, you know? And I feel like now because we have information at our fingertips whenever we want it. Used to not be like that when we were kids, you know? There were certain things like, I don't know. I just don't know if that's true or not. Or it's not an Encyclopedia Britannica, so I guess we're fucked. Like, you know, now it's like you can, even if it's it might be misinformation, but you know, right at our fingertips, we can find out whatever we need to find out, resolve whatever little argument we have, whatever, and get other people's takes and other people's little Easter eggs they found in shows and things.
Yeah.
And it's great, but you know, sometimes there's a point that I reach, and I think most people reach, they get a breaking point where it's like, all right, I know it's a labor of love and I love this thing. I got to give myself a break from the break.
Yeah.
My break is being entertained by this thing, but now maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm trying to look for too many Easter eggs. I'm trying to analyze too much. Maybe I just need to enjoy it for what it is. So overall, I think it's wonderful shit. I think it's great that we have these hero movies, even though I don't necessarily watch every single one, nor do I desire to do that. I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful fandom for people to have. And the only thing that kind of makes me like, meh, is the fact that like, especially with Deadpool, when it first came out, that first early, like there was a mini series where he was like serious, like, you know, badass, hard nosed, whatever. And then there was like, he became more fun. And that's like Daniel Way's run really started to get me into it. And then like Brian Posehn and Jim Duggan, they ended up I don't think it's Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but
I don't think so.
or something Duggan. But like, they had their run too in like the 2010s, which was awesome. Both really good runs, two of my favorite runs of Deadpool. But I remember like after the miniseries, reading Deadpool month to month and getting it and having to kind of seek it out as a kid, which was kind of fun.
Mhm.
It wasn't online. You couldn't read it online, whatever. You had to get the issues. And, if it wasn't at your local store, you had to go to another one, or maybe you had to, get it delivered.
Mhm.
But like the point is each episode, each issue at the end, there'd be like letters from the editor, and they'd always joke around. If we're renewed next month, or if we're still around, here's, Deadpool will encounter whatever. And for me, it's like underdog. Yes. Like this fledgling comic book. Let's keep it going. I love this. I'm a fan. I support it. Boom. I hope eventually maybe we can have some people like that with the podcast where they're like, oh my God, yummy, yummy, yummy. I'm one of the main heads, whatever. But like, and for me, I always dreamed, man, I wish in my heart of hearts that there could be a Deadpool movie. I wish that Deadpool was more popular.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I got what I wished for many decades later. And should I tell younger me, like, don't wish for it? Because
Not going to be what you wanted it to be.
what would I have preferred? Do you want something to just go off into obscurity and die? Or do you want it to live on? Granted, it might not be the version you love, or they might have had to tamper with it, quote unquote, a little bit, but at least it exists.
Mhm.
And now that people are like more familiar with Deadpool, I'm not that weird person who's like, hey, what are you into, man? Well, I'm not really into sports. And oh, I like Deadpool. What the hell is that? Well, at least now people know what it is.
Yeah.
But then also now it's almost like I want to say, yes, I'm a Deadpool fan, and the movies are great, but I'm a true head. I collected all the comics. And then what do I expect? People to like applaud me and be like, good job. Like, why is it so important to me that like I make that differentiation that like, look, I'm not a bandwagon person. I'm a day one Deadpool fan since the miniseries, since before he was even a funny guy. Why is that so important to people? Why is it so important to me?
Yeah. I was just thinking, I don't know that I'm a true like completist or like obsessive about anything. There's a lot of things I really like and I can go decently deep on, but like if I'm truly challenged on like something I love, I'll be like, I'd have to tap out pretty quick. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think about, there's always somebody stronger. There's always somebody better than you. So like, what is the point? What does it matter? Like, as long as you like, I guess you
can
can't
connect.
Really get him. It's not, you can't get into my heart or head, but like when I'm saying like, I don't know, I brought up earlier Simpsons.
But we can get in your pants, mister. Just kidding.
Yeah. Say the right things. Put that smile.
Just kidding. Those are locked up.
If you like The Simpsons, for example, I haven't watched it consistently for a long time, but I truly love it. Or you know what I mean? But yeah. I can't name all the actors in every episode. It's just something I inherently love. You know what I mean? So it's
one thing I can tell you that like this isn't even a brag, but like I watched every single episode of The Simpsons.
Well, I can't even say that though, is what I'm getting at. So it's just funny to think, and it's just like.
But like, who cares though? Because that doesn't mean that I'm a better fan or that I connect more with it. You might have a deeper connection. Yeah.
But I'm getting at is there's this arm wrestling thing, and it might only be one-sided. I almost sometimes get nervous when I tell somebody, even if it's a popular thing, you're like, I like this band. And you're like, let's put out a band everyone knows pretty much. Like, I like the Beatles. And then you're like, oh, but did you know that when I'm like, no, I didn't know Paul McCartney's favorite food is peanut butter and jelly, or he's a vegan. He doesn't like, mushroom soup. It doesn't, why does it matter to the Eleanor Rigby song?
It's cool to know if you end up getting tidbits. And that's how I am with certain things. If I can get little tidbits, fun. But yeah, sparring. But like, also though, it's that thing of like, remember back in the day, what was the worst thing in the 90s that you could be? A poser, right?
Right. We grew up in that era. Yep.
Fucking poser, right? So I think that's also why our generation too is maybe more bent on that, and we care too much because like, you don't want to be a poser. So like
selling out.
Like back in like early college, I almost exclusively wore Bob Marley shirts, right? and I started to stop doing it because I would always get people, yeah, One Love, or they'd fart out 2 or 3 of the most well-known songs.
Right.
And I'm like, yup, that's what I'm all about, jamming, and I hope you like jamming too. That I'm one-dimensional. It's like, no, I like a lot of like the deep cuts and the stuff he did, with the Wailers and like I'm into Peter Tosh and how he splintered off from Marley and all this stuff that like,
yeah.
You run a risk of kind of being a snob. Someone comes up to you and they're just trying to relate. Yeah, man, Bob Marley, One Love. You don't know shit. Do you know anything about Peter? You know anything about the Wailers? Do you know anything about any of that? Huh?
Well, there's always gonna be somebody that knows more than you or knows less than you, and it's just like, just can't we all be on the same spectrum of the sense of, if you like, you like. If you don't know about it and you want to know, I would talk about it a little bit, but I also won't be. You might have to like cool me down for a little if I get going too much. But it's just like, it doesn't need to be, I know more, I love it more. See, this is one of the things you talked about sports. Like, I like professional, like NFL, and I'm a Bills fan. That's about it. But like, I'd like to watch. And so here's an anecdote though. When I was younger in the 90s, they didn't used to have all these, like, I like hats. Like,
oh, we're both
guy, but like,
I'm not wearing a hat today, which is weird. Every single time we've recorded, pretty much as soon as I get out of bed, most days I have a hat on. So the fact that I don't have a hat on right now is crazy. But yes,
I wanted to say, like, when I was like in the back of the day, even like there'd be lids at the mall or whatever, and I would like, I'd go like, oh my god, that hat is cool, but I'm not a Oakland A's fan or something. But I'd be like, I'm just gonna buy it. And then
Charlotte Hornets, remember that shit?
Exactly.
In high school, everyone loved those colors.
It just looks so cool.
Mighty Ducks,
right? I have a Mighty Ducks jersey.
The logos were awesome, but it's like, I don't know shit about hockey, but
then people give you crap. They're like, you're not a fan. And it's like, and so I think I'm also like jaded from that stuff. And it's just like, can't I just be a fan of the artwork almost?
Yeah.
Like, I just like how this looks. This is a cool hat. Somebody drew this and made this logo or created it, made it in the world, got a hat printed. I'm wearing it. Yeah. I don't even know who one player is.
Yeah. You should do what you like and not spar. Maybe it's not so much a thing. I think, like, you're a Weird Al fan, right? So I think sometimes
saw him last night.
You might, if you start talking to somebody and you realize they don't know as much, you might, not you, but I think in general, people might be like, you don't know as much. And you might feel like you have to spar or be like, how much of a fan are you? Kind of test people. I think that's in our nature. But I think instead of being like that, it'd be awful nice. And I'm going to try to be better about this myself too. If I know a little bit more about a certain subject or a certain person or whatever, artist, if I know a little bit more, I'm going to be kinder and gentler about it. And more or less like, come under my learning tree, my friend. Like instead of
or just read the room.
Yeah,
read the room. If they seem like they want to know more or they don't know more, just leave it be. If they're like, oh man, Weird Al, and you're like, yeah, I love his stuff, and they're like, cool. And then if they don't talk more, that's a good time just to shut up about it.
That leave it alone. Or you can preface and say, I'm actually like a mega fan or too much of a fan.
Not
a MAGA fan, a mega fan. Sorry,
G-A.
MEGA. Mega fan. It's a Rochester accent. Sorry. Even though I live in,
elsewhere,
remote island now. I live in St. Elsewhere.
You can just say, like, you can preface it and say, I'm a mega fan, but it is, and just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's often what I do is I'm like, hey, oh really? You like what I'm a big, I'm like a mega fan. I can tell you a bunch of stuff. I'm like, please let me know if I'm saying too much or if I start to bore you. I often tell people that because
but what if I run the risk of then if they know more, then I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not that big a fan.
Then I love
they're
that.
Like, yeah, but sometimes I'm like nervous, like they're gonna be like, oh, you think you're such a big fan, but did you know and this actually was a rare cut? And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not a big fan. I just said I was a big fan, but you proved that you're a bigger fan. Well, you win.
I don't want to be that person who knows the most in the room because there's nowhere to go or grow from there.
That's good.
If I can meet someone who that's why I try to hang out with people who are doing big things or who might be a level past me. Not that, comparison is the thief of joy. So I'm not saying anything to that effect, but I try to befriend people or talk to people who challenge themselves, and challenge me.
You run against somebody who's faster than you, right?
Yeah, yeah. When I used to play tennis back in the day, yeah, I could be on JV and just whomp everybody. But I would prefer getting whomped by the dudes on varsity because I'm getting better. I'm actually getting real competition.
So let's leave it this. Let's say this. If you know more than somebody, be kinder to the people who don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to show off. Or if you don't know more, it's okay though too. You don't have to
And I love when if I meet somebody like, yeah, I'm an MF Doom fan too. Sweet. And we start talking and all of a sudden they're learning me on things and they're like, hey, did you know about this? And oh, I didn't. Part of me is like, you suck. Why are you such a terrible fan? But you know what? Be kinder to yourself. Be kinder to myself.
Right.
You know what? I'm a big fan, but there's always things to learn. There's always obscure facts. There's always whatever. and I think it's the same thing that can tie in with these movies and stuff, is I think people should push themselves as far as they want to go, but not put all this undue pressure on themselves. If you love Iron Man, if you love the Joker, or whatever it is, you love your old Droog, you enjoy Beyonce, whatever it is, I feel like if you want to learn as much as possible about them, great. But you also have to give yourself a break. You also don't have to be the best at it. And sometimes it's nice not knowing everything about it. And I think also it's meant to be entertainment. It's meant to inspire you. And sometimes when you bog yourself down with knowing all these little Easter eggs and things, you start to get lost in the sauce and you lose track of what you truly love about that thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you can connect to it, if you can get meaning from it, even if it's on a base level, okay. And you know what? Maybe don't judge people. Yeah. If people are like, hey, Bob Marley, One Love. Old me would have been like, poser. But the me of now would be like, okay, neat. They at least are familiar.
They care enough to say something.
Maybe they'll learn some things. Yeah. Or maybe I'll even learn some things too. So I think
be open.
If you're a fan, that doesn't mean you have to run yourself ragged. Sometimes just enjoy it for what it is.
That's right.
And if you can learn more, or someone else can tell you more, you can tell someone else more. Just don't beat yourself up and don't kind of bully other people and yuck someone else's yums.
Yep. I think that's great.
So you know what? I think the next time the Green Goblin tries to nibble on my turds, or like Thor tries to wash my back, I'll say, you know what? I'm going to flush my turds. You know what? I'm going to wash my own back. I appreciate you. Please get out of my shower. We'll play some chess after I get out,
Love it. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on the Instagram at Cool Side of the Pillow Pod Official. You can go to our website. That's coolsideofthepillow.com, right, Vince?
That is
and they
correct.
can do what? They can buy some merch there.
Whatever they want. Yeah, they can. And you know what?
Send us a dream.
Like you said, too, I have worn our merch, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever. Oftentimes I'll get people who just love the logo that'll stop me. I was at the airport a few months back visiting Josh and visiting other friends. And I had people, well, that's a cute logo. That's cool. That's neat. You know what? Even if they never listen to the podcast, if they were to like pick up a shirt or whatever, or even the fact that they admired it, cool. It's all love. It doesn't matter. Man. It doesn't have to be the most intense version of love. That's what I think people get hung up on.
Mm-hmm.
Just
try to enjoy it.
As long as you can appreciate something, just try to enjoy it.
We'll talk to you soon, everyone.
Bye-bye. Love you.